Throughout the history of the United States, American Indians have been categorized as one homogeneous group of people, rather than individually acknowledging different tribal nations and their cultures.
When we take measurements of the public and their perception of Native Americans, one glaring fact is that the public has no understanding that there are over 500 different Native American nations, as different as the Spanish are from the Welsh, as the Polish are from the French. We have different languages, different religions, different foods, etc. But in the American perception, it's an amalgamation. We're all the same. And so that is a problem with having a Native American from 1,000 miles away representing.
It's much more important, my clan and my tribal identification, than the fact I belong to this fabricated group called American Indian. I'm Mohawk, which is far more important than being an American Indian, which is kind of a generalized racial category. It's like the difference between, if you're from Jamaica, in the United States you're considered black. But to that person, being from Jamaica is far more important than the created racial class of black. One's a culture group, and the other is very much a racial, an artificial racial category.
Inaccurate portrayals have damaging effects that formulate at a young age and may carry lifelong repercussions.
And the American Psychological Association has put out a position paper on mascots that I think would apply to the big Indian, in that he's sort of the mascot of the city. And there's a measurable drop in self-esteem before and after American Indian children are exposed to these images.
Kenneth and Mamie Clark in 1939 proved to us that marginalized groups or oppressed groups internalize that oppression. So we no longer need an oppressor, we start oppressing ourselves. And that's what that kind of imagery does when it's always the same. It's always in the past, it's never sophisticated, it's never modern. It really doesn't present Native America in a varied light, that we're possible of all the other things. We have the same capacity that everyone else does. No, it's extremely limiting. And so as I see all these, and the statues we're talking about, there's plenty of advertising signs around town as well that do the same thing. And so I don't want my children growing up the way I did, hating myself, because I started to believe all this, you choose your own adjective, around us.
We're seen as invisible people. People don't think that we're still here, and people don't understand that like a Native American can just be walking down the street in jeans and a t-shirt just like any other person. I think people associate Native Americans with like traditional clothing and music, and if they're not seeing that, they don't think of natives.
Well, I think one thing they need to recognize is that we are here. There are American Indians in the city, and that we are here as American Indians. 21st century American Indians are still tribal people, and we respond and think of ourselves as tribal people. And they need to stop trying to put us onto cave walls.
Most of what I know about my culture is modern. I do know some of the traditional things, but they're not really reflected here.
Take a look at the patterns. They're very clear. We never see Native America as anything but archaic. It's always in the past. Just walking around town, in our textbooks, in our commercials, in our movies, etc. Let's do something about that.
But why are we somehow expected to uphold this antiquated view, or this antiquated technology that somehow makes us authentic? And I deeply resent that, and I think most American Indians do.